been writing songs for TV shows. The money never lasts and the feeling goes away. I can hear a weird small silent voice that says I'll never cut through all the noise. And yet I think I'm starting to believe it. What if all the things I want weren't meant for me? Maybe a more pretty life's not meant to be. What if I never make it? What if I never make a name for myself? Was it ever even worth trying? Is there somewhere even worth finding? What if I never make it? The show is ending and the lights are going down, but there's no one in the crowd tonight, so I'll keep singing for myself, alright, yeah. I guess I could find another job that pays a hell of a lot better than these stupid songs. Yeah, sometimes I hate them. Maybe I would fit in with my friends. We could talk about our stocks and dividends, yeah, or whatever you call them. What if all the things I want weren't meant for me? When I'm finally gone, will anyone remember me? What if I never make it? What if I never make a name for myself? Was it ever even worth trying? Is there somewhere even worth finding? What if I never make it? The show is ending and the lights are going down, but there's no one in the crowd tonight, so I'll keep singing for myself, alright. I know that I have said this a million times before, but maybe my mistake is thinking that I need more. What if I never make a name for myself? Is it worth trying? I hope it's worth trying. What if I never make it? The show is ending and the lights are going down, but there's no one in the crowd tonight, so I'll keep singing for myself. Alright. Singing for myself. Told me that you wanted to crash our car for the overpass, the one over on Briley Avenue. Can't believe the words I said. How are we gonna pay for it? Instead of how could I replace you? Dropped you off at the hospital, pushed you away when I should've pulled you in and let you know that I'll never let you go. So when everything is melting down, all the sirens and the lights and sound, when you're feeling like there's no way out, I'll hold you till you're finally found. Even when you're on the edge and the thoughts are blurry in your head, I know that you can't quite see how, but you're better than you feel right now. Maybe it was all the times I walked out without saying goodbye. Did it make you feel like you were not enough for me? Did it have nothing to do with me? Just a hurricane hurricane inside of you spinning. I really wish that I could be the truck you need. Sometimes I just can't forget how I held back my heart again. I should have held you close and never let you go. So when everything is melting down, all the sirens and the lights and sounds, when you're feeling like there's no way out, I'll hold you till you're finally found, even when you're on the edge.
And we're starting another vlog in the car. Sorry, my lips are chapped. I still need to put lotion on my face. I haven't even put lotion on my face yet this morning because we're running behind. One, okay, let's just get this started here. One, I was supposed to start this vlog on Thursday. Did I? Kind of. I got some B-roll footage on Thursday. Did I vlog this weekend? No. I did not vlog this weekend at all. None whatsoever. And so we're starting this vlog on Monday for it to go up on Thursday. I have got to do better with my life. I've got to do so much better. Okay, so let's talk about some things. Let's do a quick check-in and what this week is going to look like. I want to see how many middle grade books I can get done in between now and when I put this vlog up. So what is that, 72 hours? To see how many middle grade books I can read in 72 hours. This should be interesting, right? This should be fun because I'm simultaneously reading young adult stuff for the Goodreads Choice Awards. So this is going to be fun. I think in 72 hours I could knock out easily 5. We're gonna see if this is a fact or not. We're gonna see if this is reality or not. I think I can do 5. And it may be a bit of, I don't want to say cheating because it's my vlog, my channel. I'm gonna be finishing up some stuff too, so maybe it might be more than 5. I don't know. We're gonna push ourselves to the limit this week. All right, so let's talk about what I'm gonna read. It is a beautiful day outside. It's chilly. It's not, I mean, it's cold. The temperature dropped. The temperature is going to drop more this week. And so your girl is getting her wish. In the last vlog, I was complaining about how I had been teased for weeks on end about when I was going to get my cooler weather. And finally, I'm getting it starting this week. But in terms of reading, because that's why we're here to talk about the books. I have a couple things that I'm attempting to finish up. I did already finish the last book in the Percy Jackson and the Heroes of Olympus series. Finally finished my reread of that series. I've been working on that series all year long, and I finally finished The Blood of Olympus yesterday. I'm not going to count that in the 72 hours because I did finish it yesterday, but it was just as good as I remembered. I did feel like it ended kind of abruptly with a lot of unanswered questions now that I think about it, and it almost was a pathway for him to be able to write more, as much as he wanted to continue to write. And I didn't realize that until I finished the book yesterday, and I was like, wait, this definitely creates a window for him to be able to write more, which is why the Trials of Apollo so easily follows this series, because I did not realize that Apollo was questioned on some stuff at the very end. Like, I think that how I remember it, because you gotta remember the last time I read this book was in 2016, right? And so I already knew, stepping back into this book, that the Trials of Apollo were directly related to some things that Apollo did in this series, and he pissed Zeus off. And so Trials of Apollo follows those consequences. I'm trying to be as vague as possible because they're at this point so knee deep in the series, it is very, very easy to spoil stuff, right? So I knew that, but I thought, like, I think because I knew that, and I knew the synopsis for the first book in the Trials of Apollo series, that I thought that the consequences were handed down in this book, and actually they weren't handed down in this book. So that was very interesting, because I think my perception of what actually had happened was not true at all. And then I realized how open-ended Riordan left everything to be able to continue to write. So now I'm going to be interested in seeing how the Trials of Apollo is going to go, like how much of that is going to be open-ended to have made way for these other 2 books that he's written within the past couple of years that are part of the series. So we actually, well, technically we have 3, because he did a collaboration with Marco Shiro and they did a Nico D'Angelo book. So he left himself the ability to write 3 more in the Percy Jackson series, which makes a total of 18 books. I haven't decided though whether I'm going to start with Trials of Apollo or whether I'm going to go ahead and read Magnus Chase. Now, Magnus Chase is not directly connected to this central storyline, although I do believe that Percy and Annabeth make an appearance in the series, because Annabeth is Magnus's cousin. So I think that they do make an appearance, but it's not directly connected to what we're used to reading, because this one specifically focuses on Norse mythology as opposed to Greek and Roman mythology. I haven't made my decision, and I was thinking about doing a different type of series with those books, and not just essentially like focusing on them, but like I've seen a lot of creators start doing like finish the series with me episodes, which I think is really, really cool. I kind of like do like the idea of that. So I may do something similar along those lines. And of course, traffic is hell this morning. Like, why? Oh, why? We always got something random going on and people doing random things first thing in the morning. Okay, so we have that knocked out. I am currently listening to Accidental Demons by Claire Edge. So this is a very, very interesting middle grade book, one that I have been super excited to kind of make it through. I'm about 50% into it, and this one focuses on a main character who is diabetic. She's type 1 and she's a blood witch. So every time she takes her blood sugar level, she conjures demons because she's a blood witch. And so they're trying to find ways for her to better manage her diabetes so that she's not pricking herself as much and she's not drawing blood and summoning all of these demons that are pretty much just like chaotic, which I thought like such a cool premise. And it actually is really, really good. I just got to the part where her and her sister accidentally, well, they wanted to make it easy for her to have something like a glucose monitor system, like one that constantly is checking your blood pressure for you. I mean, your blood sugar level for you. And so they've conjured this demon. It's a mystery demon, a mystery magic demon, I think, that can read her blood sugar at any time. So like he knows when she's, I'm sorry. They know. So the demon is non-binary. And the main character explains that very briefly. But this demon can read whenever our main character's on a high or a low. I just think it's good to see such representation, like this disability representation, seeing diabetes representation, but in a fantasy world. You know, typically I think in a lot of middle grade we see disability rep in a contemporary or realistic fiction type of manner, but in this one we're specifically seeing it as fantasy, and I think that that's really interesting. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to that and finish that this morning. I still need to finish Impossible Creatures by Catherine Rundell. I have made progress on that one. I think I'm a little over 150 pages into that one. So we'll see if I can finish that up this week as like my physical book. And then we're going to see what else we can get into. So the name of the game, the theme for this is to see how many books I can finish in 72 hours. We'll see what we get done. I'm gonna go ahead and head into work this morning and get my week started, man. It's gonna be a long week. Bye. because I'm speechless. But I just wanted to check in literally super quick and let you know that I finished 3 books. I will talk about all 3 probably tomorrow. I did finish Accidental Demons, which is a middle grade fantasy. I finished Louder Than Hunger, which is an older middle grade contemporary. And then I finished this one, Impossible Creatures, which is a middle grade fantasy as well. So, I do have Misfits, The Royal Conundrum by Lisa Yee on my Kindle. That is a middle grade espionage mystery book. So I may go ahead and start that because I'm really interested in seeing how Lisa Yee and Dan Santat, I don't know why the light went off, work together. But yeah, that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to check in and tell y'all that. But y'all, I was so nervous. I didn't have any battery left. Please excuse my voice. I don't think I'm getting sick, but at the same time, I don't know. And let's be honest, I almost did not sit down here and do this. It is Tuesday. And I'm exhausted. I know y'all tired of seeing my pink shirt, but it's the shirt that I love to sleep in because it's nice and big and comfortable. I promise you I'll wash it. I ain't nasty like that. But I do like wearing it because it's comfortable for me to be in when I'm at home. Alright, so couple of things first. Let's talk about some things that I've acquired, some book mail. It's really quick, and then we're going to go over the things that I have read because I have thoughts about some things and where we're at, and I literally have just tomorrow to finish up my reading. So the first things I want to show you is I got some more Danmei. And I am not gonna lie to you, I randomly purchased these because the company that made them, which is Peach Flower House, it went out of print. I mean, it went out of business. So they are no longer printing these, and so these are officially out of print, and you will not be able to purchase them anymore. So I got the Imperial Uncle, and then I got Peach Blossom Debut. So these are 2 that I'm hoping to read soon. I know I wasn't supposed to buy any more Danmei until I finished the Danmei on my shelves, which I will get back to at some point. But I just wanted to show you that I did end up getting these 2. And then I also got this new Freedom Fire box, which is a Disney Hyperion imprint that I think Kwame Mbagye is running. So they sent me this. Make sure I don't have my address anywhere. But they sent me this. And I was not expecting it, but we're going to go ahead and open it. Actually, I'm going to get some scissors, and then we're going to open it. So this is done by Big Honcho Media, which is it's a company that I know Disney uses a lot, Disney Publishing uses a lot, to send out promotional boxes for their materials. And I just got an email from them stating that I should have received this box. I didn't know that I was getting it. Okay. Oh, this is so cute. Okay, so in the box we have lots of these squiggly things, which I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I can't stand them because they're so messy. But they sent a water bottle, and it says "Celebrate the beauty of Black girl power." That is gorgeous. Let's see. what other swag is in here. Oh, this is cute. They sent which I cannot fit this. I will be giving this to my child because I cannot fit this, but she will be able to fit it. They sent a Black Girl Power t-shirt. Oh, she'll like this. I definitely will be passing that along to her. That's a small. Child, nobody right here can wear no smalls. Oh, this is pretty. I also will be giving this to her. Look at this. Oh, that is cute. It's a mirror that says love, brave, kind, unique, strong, worthy. And at the bottom it says I am Black Girl Power. That is pretty. Oh, I love this. This is awesome. Okay, yeah. So this is like what I'm supposed to say. Like, thanks, Disney, for sending me this package. Let's see here. I think that is all the stuff out of the box. I probably will post this on Instagram as well. So I'm gonna make sure that I put everything back, but also put it back neatly and take a picture of it. Okay, so they also gave me this little set of bookmarks, which I have Jax Freeman. I have that one checked out. It's actually over there. I have Moco Magic checked out, but it's at my job on my desk. And now we have Black Girl Power. So those are all bookmarks. This is just kind of like a card that tells you a little bit about the book. And then this is the book. So it's 15 stories celebrating Black girlhood. This cover is beautiful. So the stories are by A. Marie, Kaylin Bayron, Roseanne A. Brown, Elise Bryant, Danielle Clayton, Natasha Diaz, Sharon M. Draper, Sharon G. Flake, Leah Johnson, Kekla Magoon, Janae Marks, Tola Okagu. It's the same author who wrote, where is the books at? I can't believe they're up here somewhere. Oh goodness gracious. I'll put the cover up here because I know what I'm talking about, and I can't call it off the top of my head. Karen Strong, Renee Watson, and Evie is a boy. Oh, this is a good list of folks. Oh, this is a good list. Like, some of these individuals, like, I really, 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 really love. So that, oh gosh, Onyeka. It finally clicked. Onyeka and the Academy of the Sun. Oh, I'm excited to read this. I wish I would have gotten this sooner so I could have read it this week for this vlog, but I probably will save it, so that's nice. I'm gonna put this stuff back. I'm gonna take a picture of it and share it via social. So last night I had mentioned that I had finished Impossible Creatures. I don't think I talked about Accidental Demons. I talked about it a little bit, but just to keep it brief, I ended up giving that one 5 stars. I really, really love Accidental Demons. It was superb. Really, really great disability rep. Highly, highly, highly recommend that one. I also ended up finishing Impossible Creatures last night, right? Y'all, I have so many conflicting feelings about this book, and I don't want to take like a 30-minute segment and talk about it, but I did want to kind of mention the fact that it is one of those books where, sorry, my neighbor's like right outside of my house. Like, I don't know why. But it is one of those books where I feel like it's for a very niche audience, okay? Like, it's for a very specific audience. It's not one that I would feel comfortable like broadly or widely recommending because I feel like it's so niche. I I think, like, in my head, in my heart of hearts, I feel like if the book had come out maybe 5-10 years ago, this would be a different conversation that I'm having. But with the gap in literacy right now, Rundell uses some phrasing which I think is absolutely beautiful, poetic, but I think is above like some expectations that we have when we're talking about middle grade readers right now. So it's kind of hard to judge the book. I think that I personally enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I waffle back and forth between 3.5 and 4, and we were on my Patreon last night and we were doing sprints, and I was like, I don't know where to go with this, because I thought that the writing was great. I thought the character development was great. I thought that the world itself was interesting, but her plot development is where she kind of struggled because it was like super linear. So our characters were getting from point A to point B to point C, which I probably should kind of jump back in and rehash what the plot is. So there are 2 characters, Mal and Christopher. I call him Chris. The 2 of them end up meeting. They're from 2 different worlds. Chris is from our world, which is considered the other world. Mal is from this magical archipelago, and she's starting to notice that all these mythical creatures are dying, and so she ends up accidentally crossing over into what would be our world, and her and Chris meet, and she asks for his help. And he decides that he is going to help her figure out why all these magical creatures are dying, and so they are on this journey of traveling from island to island, trying to see like who can help them and what exactly the issue is. The problem that I think I had with how linear the plot is that something would go wrong and be solved within a chapter. It felt very, or at least a couple of chapters, it felt very simplistic almost and watered down plot wise. And I thought that was interesting because one of the messages that I think she kind of lays out in the story itself is that like life throws unexpected curveballs at you, and you have to be prepared to kind of deal with anything. And it was very interesting to kind of like have that messaging, to also realize that these characters were kind of like not getting challenged and having to really deal. It was interesting. But the ending kind of brought everything full circle, which is why I think I bumped it to 4, okay? So I literally was sitting on a 3.5, and then I was in bed during our final Patreon sprint, and I read it, and I was just like, yeah, I'm going to bump it up to 4, because that ending was emotionally charged. It made sense in the context. I just wish that she would have given a little bit more to the plot as a whole. But I just feel like she could have done more instead of waiting to that final moment to kind of hit us with that charged moment. Then it threw the pacing off a little bit, but the illustrations were beautiful. I love all the mythical creatures that we encounter, and I do think that if you have a younger reader who is voracious, above grade level, looking for a book that has a little bit more complexity in terms of its themes, this would be a book that I could in good faith recommend. For the masses, not so much, but I get why in part it's so highly rated and reviewed, and why she's being compared to Tolkien and George R.R. Martin. It's her writing style that is like this old school fantasy vibe. But I think that in terms of where we are as a society and reading, it may be a bit much. Some kids are going to love it, because I think at the end of my review I said like the mileage is definitely going to vary on this book. Some kids are going to love it, they're going to eat it up, they're going to think it's super accessible, and then you're going to have some kids who are going to find it like uninspiring and lackluster and boring, and they're not going to read it. So there's that. That was such a conflicting read. And then I ended up reading 2 other books. So I think at the beginning of this vlog I said that my goal was going to be 5 in 72 hours. I'm definitely going to make 5. I may make more than 5. I'm not going to push myself to make more than 5, but I'm going to make 5 because I finished 2 other books. which is Louder Than Hunger by John Shu. This is a tough one that I highly recommend checking out the content warnings for. The content warnings that I listed in my review include representation of disordered eating, depression, OCD, and bullying. So we are following a main character by the name of Jake, who is starting to be like full-fledged into disordered eating. And we see his mother kind of intervene and put him in a recovery facility. And we watch him go through day by day. He keeps track of the days. And it's not literally every single day you're getting a narration from him. It's like every few days, and he's basically kind of chronicling his experience, his highs and his lows. This I can't say enjoyed, because enjoyed is such a, I feel like, insensitive word in reviewing this book. I was enthralled and really like drawn into this book because it is talking about the impact of disordered eating and shattered like self-esteem and body image as it pertains to a young teenage boy. And that is not something that we frequently see in Kid Lit, and I think it is important to remember that there are boys that do deal with self-esteem, self-image issues, disordered eating, because we don't want to leave any kid out of that conversation. I think that a lot of like the body positivity, self-esteem, talking about self-image, a lot of that stuff is heavily geared towards young girls, young teen girls, and sometimes I feel like we kind of miss out on capturing young boys who may be struggling. And we're not going to even talk about leaving out queer folks in this conversation, because I also feel like they are not covered as broadly. But I was really pulled into the narration because of that element, also because it was very real and very raw. I wasn't sure how deeply John Shu was going to go into this, and I'm having a lot of trouble figuring out whether this should be like on the younger end of teen or whether this technically should be middle grade. Like I'm still kind of riding the line with that, because I definitely would say it's 10 and up, but middle grade extends all the way to 12, and then we start teen at 12. But I think that it would be good for 13 and 14-year-olds as well. The main character at the start of the book is 13. He ends up turning 14. So it's kind of that perfect book for like the in-between tween ages that I'm constantly talking about. 10 to 14 is such a difficult age to rec for. This is one that would fall within that awkward phase of 10 to 14. So I wasn't sure how much he was going to delve into it, but he does. I think probably the most painful aspects of reading this book is definitely Jake's relapses. The moments where you think he is on the cusp of recovery and then realizing that he hasn't really recovered, and that when he gets the opportunity to explore the outside world, he's going to relapse. I think as a parent, that was very, very difficult for me to read, and very insightful to how difficult the recovery process from disordered eating can be, and also understanding that it is a lifelong battle. It's not something that's cured or fixed overnight. And I do like that the title Louder Than Hunger, I was trying to figure out like why was that title chosen, but throughout the book you realize that Jake is battling this internal voice that is kind of misconstruing everything that people say to him in regard to his eating or how he looks. And so you see what someone is saying, and then you get to hear how Jake's internal voice, this voice, kind of twists and distorts everything, and then he internalizes it based off of that distortion, and then what that does to his perception of himself, his perception of food. And it was heavy. Now there were some moments of light in it, because we do get to see Jake navigate some relationships with people that he meets in the facility, people that he meets outside of the facility. So it's not all dark, but I will say it is very real, and it is loosely based off of John Shu's own struggles with disordered eating. And he says a lot of the conversations and internal feelings that Jake experiences were his own at some point. So very real, very raw, very authentic. Ended up giving that one 4 stars. And then I also ended up finishing Every Story Ever Told by Amy Polanski. This, which I didn't realize when I went to go check it out from the library, is actually a sequel to World Made of Glass, which I read last year and really, really loved. So World Made of Glass focused on Iris and her difficulty dealing with not only the divorce of her parents, but finding out that her father is gay, meeting her dad's partner, and finding out that her father has been diagnosed with HIV that has now turned into full-blown AIDS. It takes place in the 1980s, historical fiction. It was amazing. It was one of my favorite books of last year, and this is a sequel companion novel of sorts, because in some ways it can be read alone, but I think that the intention is not for it to be read as a standalone, which I almost wish that it was marketed more clearly as a sequel, because I think a lot of people are going to go into this reading it as a standalone, not understanding that the mother in this book is the same character from World Made of Glass, and that we're focusing on her daughter in this one. This one is just as tough as the first one, dealing with a different number of issues. It's a main character by the name of Stevie Jane, and she has a very interesting relationship as a young teen. She's a very interesting relationship with her mother. They end up going to this festival, and there is a mass shooting that occurs at the festival. And Iris, the mother, ends up getting shot. And so Stevie Jane is dealing with not only being present for a mass shooting, seeing her mother get shot, and then having to deal with the PTSD that follows. This is another book that deals with internal monologue, and trying to battle reality and this internal voice that's lying. So her internal voice is telling her that it's her fault that her mother got shot, because her mother ends up getting hospitalized. They put her into a coma to help her heal. And she's dealing with this guilt that it's her fault, that if she would have stayed with her mother or agreed to do something with her mother, then her mother would have never been in that specific area to have gotten shot. So she deals with a lot of guilt and trauma. A lot of this has to do with the kind of interconnectedness of our experiences and our histories, and so how Iris is an advocate and learns a lot about advocacy. Her daughter is kind of doing the same thing. She has a neighbor who survived the Holocaust. She was in Auschwitz. And so she's learning a lot about genocide and what it means to have survived it, the guilt and feelings that come along with that, and learning about activism that she couldn't be involved in by learning about her own mother's history, how she grew up, her experience with her dad and her dad's partner, which is Stevie's grandparents. So all of that is interesting. I don't think it's as strong as World Made of Glass. To be quite honest with you, I think I'm going to give this one a 3.5. If we're talking about books that deal with school shootings and the recovery process that comes with a school shooting, especially dealing with PTSD, I definitely think that... What's the name of the book? I'm going to look for it really quick. Simon Sort of Says by Aaron Bow. I do think that that one handles it better. the writing in that was better than in this one. And in comparing World Made of Glass, even though they're very, very different topics, I do think that World Made of Glass was written a lot better. So there's that. I'm gonna give that one 3.5 stars. I haven't written my review for that one, but it's fine. The last thing that I'm currently reading right now, I'm reading two things. One, I'm listening to an audio. One, I am reading on my Kindle. The one that I'm listening to on audio is A Crossbow of Destiny. This is a middle grade fantasy that is based off of Vietnamese mythology. I'm still trying to get a grasp of the mythology because it is newer to me, and it definitely has to do with the fact that you have a king who's obsessed with power and greed, does not want to return, I believe it's a turtle claw, does not want to return it when he's supposed to. And there's this guy who is telling him, like, you need to return it, you've accomplished your goal, you cannot keep it, there are consequences for it. And the king is kind of like, no, I don't care. The guy's like, well, you're not any better, because he's battling this general. And so he wants to use this weapon in order to defeat the general. And everything is fine, but he becomes obsessed with the power and doesn't want to return it. And so his daughter ends up, I believe, marrying the general's son. I think they kind of work things out, and they have a son. And then the king ends up just losing it because the guy who was trying to tell the emperor or the king, you gotta stop, he tells him, like, you know, I'm done with you, we're not friends anymore. So he goes to the daughter and it's like, hey, your father is kind of like off his rocker, I want you to switch these things out and return it as you should, because this is just going to cause a bunch of issues. And so the daughter agrees and she does it, but then they get caught up and the king basically he kills her and the husband and then takes the kid. So if I'm not mistaken, what I think is going to happen is the main character in this book is going to Vietnam, and it's Freddie Lowe. She hasn't been to Vietnam since she was little, so this is her first time going back. She is struggling with speaking Vietnamese, like, horribly, and so it's kind of like a gap for her, where she doesn't feel like she fits in. She's Vietnamese, but it's like she's been so removed from her homeland at this point and living in the States that there's this little bit of a disconnect there. And so I think that this is going to touch a little bit on identity. I think there's going to be some interconnectedness between that legend and our main character, but I will see. I think this is one that I definitely will end up probably finishing tomorrow, because it's not long, it's 5 hours. I'm already an hour and 26 minutes into it, so I'm 28% of the way through, which can either be a good thing or a bad thing. If you know what I'm saying, this could be a good thing or a bad thing, meaning that it may not be enough text, but we will see. And then on top of that, I am currently reading Lisa Yee's new book, A Royal Conundrum. That hold came in last night, which I think I may have talked about that in the clip. I'm not far into that one either, because in this one, our main character is sent to I'm trying to check and see how far I am into it. Our main character is sent to a new school, and her mother just kind of dumps her there, and she doesn't know what the school is or what it's about, and she has to take this conundrum test. It's really interesting. I don't know why this is not pulling up, but anyway, the main character's name is Olive, and she is sent there, and I'm literally just in the beginning of this book. I can't be more than 40 pages into it. I don't feel like I'm more than 40 pages into it. If my thing will update and tell me how far I am into it. Okay, yeah, I'm 48 pages in. So, not that far as 279. I probably will not finish this one before we get to the end of this, but we'll see. But yeah, y'all, that's it. So I definitely will make my 5, because my 5 is going to be, I think The Crossbow of Destiny is going to be my 5th book. I have some other things like checked out, just in case I do finish that. But I have so many meetings. This is the thing about it, is that I have meetings tomorrow, and so that's going to kind of hinder me getting some listening time in. Yeah, I have Lola by Carla Arenas Valenti. That one is a fantasy. I have Emma and the Love Spell, which is a contemporary slash has some paranormal elements. I have Lulu Signatala in the City of Noble Warriors. It's another fantasy. Not Quite a Ghost, which I think is a little, I don't know if it's horror, it might be a little horror. And then The Curse of the Eelgrass Bog. Jaden Powers and the Inheritance Magic. Glass by Catherine Lasky, that's her newest one. So I have like, oh, and I also have A Whisper of Curses by JL, which is the sequel to A Taste of Magic, which is up there. So I don't know. We'll see what I get done at the next like 24 hours. But that's it, y'all, for now. I may start editing tonight. I don't know. We'll see, because this vlog's gonna go up on Thursday. We'll see if I'll start editing tonight. I haven't made up my mind yet. But if anything, I will check in at some point tomorrow. Bye.
Knuckles on wood, nerves up in knots. Karma keeps me cautious, and bourbon keeps me brave.
Oh, look, friend, she's not wearing her pink shirt or her hair wrap. Hello, this is the final check-in, and it's not going to be long, because this is the last clip that I need to film prior to me uploading this the following day. So this is it. I made my 5 books. I thought that y'all would be very proud to know that I made my 5. I did end up finishing the 5th book, The Crossbow of Destiny, today. I'm glad that that was the last one that I had planned to read, because quite honestly, y'all, today was a busy day, and I honestly, I did not have time for much of anything else. So I was able to finish that one up and kind of clock in my 5th book in 72 hours. I did end up reading about 80 pages of the Lisa Yee book, which is Royal Conundrum. I think that's the name of the, but I always get this wrong. Yeah, The Misfits, a Royal Conundrum. So I ended up reading 80 pages of that, and I did good this week. It was a lot of reading that happened this week, and I am so exhausted. So Crossbow of Destiny is, I thought it would be a part of a series, but I am like 99% sure that that is a standalone fantasy. It didn't really leave any room for there to be a sequel of any sorts, so I'm just gonna presume that it is a standalone. It ended up being very interesting. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I was teetering back and forth between a 3.5 and a 4. I thought that because of the length, the pacing, the author did an excellent job with the pacing, because of the fact that is a shorter fantasy. And as a matter of fact, this one I think would be a good introduction to fantasy for those who are trying to not be in the 400, 500 page range of middle grade fantasy. This one I think clocks in at around 250-ish, maybe 250 to 280, which is a good length. It's under 300 pages, and so I do commend the author for using all of this folklore and mythology and being able to create this very unique experience. I definitely enjoyed it via audio because I got to hear the characters speaking Vietnamese, and I've always said that I think that Vietnamese is such a beautiful language. It sounds very just poetic or melodic. It's very just, I'm fascinated with like hearing Vietnamese being spoken. So I highly recommend that if you want to actually hear the language being spoken. And I learned a lot about like Vietnamese like folklore, folk tales, and mythology. And it was just really interesting because Freddie's grandfather was talking about like the importance of like folklore and how people, it's a good indicator of like people's beliefs and their culture systems, and sometimes even that can be more important than the straight historic facts that we're provided, because it gives you this more in-depth, realistic perspective of the group that it's representing. And I was like, that is very much so true. Like, I think this is the first time that I have read, no, this is not the first time I've read one. This is probably only like my second or third where I am or have read a book that is based in Vietnamese folklore mythology, and I thought it was really, really good. The importance of family, and also our main character struggles a lot with identity. I always like when middle grade books do that, because this is the age, right, where a lot of us are struggling to understand like who we are as people, and we're transitioning from being, you know, kids to preteens to teenagers, and it's a very awkward, very unique stage of life. And so I like when authors are able to tackle that in a way that would really connect with middle grade readers. And so she's battling, she's struggling with this idea of I was born and raised in Vietnam, but then I moved, and I've been living in America for so long that I've kind of lost touch with what it means to be Vietnamese, what it means to live in Vietnam. And her cousin kind of really challenges her on that and says, like, you know, you haven't been here. See, there's a point in which they get into a little bit of a tussle, which if you have cousins, it's always interesting, like having disagreements with your cousins. Like, because for a lot of us, we grew up with cousins that feel a lot like siblings. And so the two of them used to have that relationship, but with Freddie moving out of Vietnam to the United States, their relationship also becomes a little fractured. And her cousin makes a good point when she says, like, listen, you haven't been here. And Vietnam has changed. Like, I've changed. Like, things have changed. And to be honest with you, like, Vietnam is not your home anymore. And I think that hit Freddie kind of hard. But it was this realization that, like, yeah, I'm not here, and time keeps moving and things change regardless of me being present. Things are not going to stay the same. So I thought it was very interesting kind of watching their relationship kind of grow. Freddie kind of finding this confidence in herself, realizing how important her family really is to her, and how important her Vietnamese heritage is to her, and knowing that even though she's moved on to a different place, that doesn't make her any less Vietnamese. So really, really, really enjoyed this one. I think I am going to go with giving it 4 stars. I did waffle a little bit, but when I sat down, I think, and I really thought about it, 4 stars does seem appropriate for how the author was able to tell the story concisely, short amount of pages, and give us a full, robust story. So if you're looking for a shorter fantasy series to check out, one that definitely is a little bit more accessible than when I read Impossible Creatures. Very different ends of the spectrum in terms of middle grade fantasy, whereas I think Impossible Creatures is definitely further up in the age range, because if you didn't know, middle grade is often categorized as ages 8 to 12. Definitely would say that Impossible Creatures is 10 and up, whereas the Crossbow of Destiny can be anywhere from 8 and up. I think an 8-year-old could handle reading The Crossbow of Destiny. But that is it, y'all. I'm excited to pick up with the Misfits, The Royal Conundrum, going into next week's vlog. Hopefully I will be able to finish that, but it was a great week of reading. This is a better week compared to what happened last week. Last week was a struggle bus. We know last week was hard. Last week was really hard on me. So it's nice to see that reading this week was a little bit more successful. But hopefully, I think next week, what I've been thinking about is possibly using next week's vlog. Gosh, I can get it out. Using next week's vlog as a way to kind of document a realistic week of reading as a content creator, reviewer, a librarian, and a mom. Like what does my week in reading typically look like? Because I do have people ask me, like, how do you end up reading so much? And typically I've done those videos as just a day in a life, but I think a week in my life will give people a better idea of what it looks like. So I think, and I'm kind of, it kind of is the week to do it because I'm off work all of next week. So that will be kind of a change. It'll be a little different, but yeah, that is it, y'all. Let me know what you ended up reading this week. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, make sure you click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. If you're looking for ways to support the channel, all that stuff will be linked in the description box down below. And I will be back with another video soon. Bye.